everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yes, as you can see, I do have my beautiful celebrity co-host here for the month of January. We have the beautiful Amina McWhirter. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I am so excited. This is 2019. We got so many awesome things planned for this year. I believe that this year is definitely going to be a year of restoration.
I receive that.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. And it's going to really turn some things around for those ones who have been pushing for so long.
Absolutely.
I believe that this year is going to change all of that, and you're going to be happy that you didn't give up.
Amen.
Gonna be happy that you didn't give up, right? So, guys, as I said, I have my guest celebrity co-host here, Amina McWhirter. So she is going to introduce herself and tell you all what she has going on. She is a very busy woman. She is also a survivor and advocate in the domestic violence arena. And I call it arena because there's always so many things going on.
It is.
You know? So, Amina, definitely tell everybody that's watching on YouTube, let them know who you are and what you do.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on your platform, your show. I appreciate it, sis.
Oh,
so
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. But, you know, one thing about me is that we definitely work together in this fight or eradication of domestic violence and really supporting our young women and not just women, but young men, young adults, period.
Yes.
And understanding the importance of healthy versus unhealthy, relationships. And one of the things that really, I guess, to just sum up me and the work that I do is when I started to really be honest with myself that I too am a survivor or was a victim, more so of what happened to me being young and not really talking about it. And then the repercussions of things in my adult life and then bad choices of relationships.
Come on now.
So, I had to realize that I was a victim of that and really starting to talk about the non-physical aspect of the abuse, the mental, the verbal, the emotional, financial, spiritual, and the list can go on.
Because that's a big piece because, even when, in the beginning, when I used to go out and talk about domestic violence on different platforms, I would get women to come up to me and say, I never thought that I was a victim because it wasn't physical.
Right.
So that piece is so big. So
continue
with that.
Absolutely. And so with that, I've really started to have my own personal therapy, or rehab, as I was saying. Started to write this book, Shush No More, Be Free and Live Life in 2014. And that's where I really started to talk about me, talk about the different things that happened, even with starting the foundation in 2019, Love by the Handles, and where it focuses on homelessness, domestic violence, and at-risk youth. And really starting to even talking about me being a teen mom, and so many different things in the Shush No More movement that I started from the book. It's just really us discussing and talking about things, breaking the silence on subjects that we keep so privately in our own community. But once we break that silence, so many other people realize they're not alone.
Absolutely. And that's big because a lot of times when we're in those situations, we are made to feel like we are the only ones that's going through this, because I remember when I was going through my domestic violence bout with my husband and in the church, and I remember one night coming from church and I was crying out to God, and I was like, God, where are the women in the church who's going to be real about what's going on in these marriages? Because I was waiting for someone to say something.
Right.
I was waiting for someone to say. I always knew because I've seen domestic violence in my household growing up. In my church, my family was a very religious family, so I seen how it was at home and how it was at the church. So I kept on saying, God, where are the women that's going to be truthful? And God spoke to me and he said, you will be. And I'm like, Like, at first I was upset because I was like, why me? Why they didn't get it so I wouldn't have to go through this. And God said, because you were born for this. In families, there are people that are born to be curse breakers.
Absolutely.
In the family, so those different types of behaviors won't continue. So
absolutely. And that's one thing what even in Shush No More starting to talk about, like I was saying about being a teen mom, and I realized that I made those choices because of different things that I did not even want to talk about, or the women in my family didn't talk about to really help another young person be able to not make that choice or bad choice. And I'm not saying, of course, that because we are, or I was a teen mom, that was a bad choice.
Right.
But at that time, and I was going into the 12th grade, and I realized that I didn't love me. So because I didn't love me and my self-worth is how I got caught up in so many different situations that ultimately I ended up getting pregnant young.
Yes, I know that life too. I was a teen mom as well, so yeah, I know about that too. And so yeah, you're right, because they didn't talk about that. You know, my parents, they never talked to me about sex, never had that sex talk. And I always say, you know, they didn't talk about it, hopefully that it would just go away.
Absolutely.
But it ain't go away. No. It makes you more curious as to what's going on. And so it's very important that as parents that we open up and talk to our children about the things that affect them in this world, because you can't keep them in this box. Like the world ain't going to get to them. The world is going to touch them. And so you have to be able to give them those tools that when they come up against these things of the world, they have their tools and know how to fight.
Absolutely. Yep. So that's, I mean, for the most part, you know, I have the foundation, Love by the Handles, an author. I work full time in social services. And so with that, it also caused me to have a balance of understanding what's happening within our city. You know, I work with a company that has government contracts and dealing with DC residents specifically that may be on public assistance and trying to find them employment. And so when I understand, you know, just really the different things that are happening within our community and the mindset of so many individuals that just at the end of the day, they just don't have nobody to talk to. So
I tell you,
so
they
sometimes
don't.
it's just, that's what it's about, where I'm a counselor. You know, I'm trying to be focused and do my job, but then there's so many barriers. There's so many different things that people are going through, and when it's all said and done, they just wanted to listen in.
That is so true, because I have found that in domestic violence that they just want somebody to listen to them, to what's going on, to be able to give them that ear. And last week I had a guest on the show. He actually works in D.C. as well. Mayor Bowser had created a new office. It's the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. And it was a young man here who's a part of that program. And so what that program do, they go out into the streets or the street corners and talk to the guys that's on the streets and selling drugs. And I asked him the question, I said, you know, what do they talk about? Like, what has pushed them out to that life like that? And it amazed me at what he said. He said the most consistent thing that he hears of why they're out there is just basically trying to get money to eat. That you would be amazed that just because somebody don't have enough food in their house to eat, that what they would go out in the street and do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because people think, you know, they so bad they can't do this, and you know, they think of these children as such bad people, but it's just, in all actuality, they just trying to eat.
Absolutely. And that's one of the initiatives with Love by the Handles is our at-risk youth. So many youth are really just trying to, especially our black males, they're really just trying to be that father in the household and try to provide. So if the mom or their siblings are struggling and the biggest thing is food, paying the bills, different things like that, they feel that it's a part of them that they got to go out and do that however way they can.
Right.
So that's the part where we as a community really can't just be about it, you know, talking about it. We got to be about it and really be in our community to help. Because when it's all said and done, especially amongst the African American community, we don't have to talk about. We know. We are the community that sometimes are not there for each other, like how we should be. So we can talk about what shouldn't happen, all of this kind of stuff, but when it gets down to the nitty gritty, where are you?
Yes,
you know,
that is so true. That is absolutely true.
It's just about the community.
It is about the community. It is about the community. So what we're going to do, we have come to our first break. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring our first guest on. It is a domestic violence survivor. Her name is Melanie Ellis, and she is here in the studio. So stay tuned. You are watching the Mignon Show, and we'll be right back.
let's see. Is the cancers? Is this the cancers, right? Happy birthday to the superstars. Let me see who got a birthday out there. Let me see. Happy birthday, Renee. Hey, yeah. Also, shout out to my man Boo in the building. And JJ Smith is here too. Yeah. Also, Miss Amy got a birthday. Linda and Kathy and Lester got a birthday, y'all. Grown folk style. Hi, Jeannie.
Business and promote your products and services, VoxWave is the right place. We have over 10,000 views a day and 70,000 listeners a month. For more information, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
VoxWave now features a streaming radio media player on our website's front page, where local artists can get their music played 24/7. For more information on getting your music in rotation or to perform live at our studio, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
Hello and welcome back to the Mignon Show. I am your host, Mignon.
And I am the co-host, Amina.
Thank you so much for joining us. As you can see, we have our beautiful special guest at the desk right now. Her name is Melanie Ellis, and she is a domestic violence survivor, and she will be sharing her awesome testimony of survival with us here tonight. So welcome.
Thank you guys for having me on your platform.
Oh,
this is my second time going public.
Oh, wow.
Outside of family and friends.
Wow, wow. It's time. Absolutely. It's time, and you're ready. You're ready. So we are so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes. So what I want you to do is that camera right there in front of you, you could just introduce yourself and just tell us about your story. How did it start?
Okay. Well, everyone, they already said my name. I'm Melanie. The abuse started when I was 15 years old. I met this guy who I thought I was in love with. I was in 11th grade. He was a 24-year-old, guy from the neighborhood. And he basically started controlling what I was wearing. You know, when you're a teenager, you want to wear short skirts and do all this little stuff with your friends. So he started taking my time. My parents were really strict. I couldn't get out that much, but I started lying to get out to be with him.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So he started hitting me like in unseen spots. Like he'll pop me here and there so I can hide it from my parents and my family. I had brothers, my dad. I would lie and say I failed and all that little stuff. And then it started getting more intense as I got older. And then I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I thought, oh, yeah, I'm pregnant. He's not going to hit me anymore. But he said, just because you're pregnant don't mean I can't punch you in your face.
Wow.
So that happened. That occurred during pregnancy. And one time on one of my OBGYN visits, that's before domestic violence, before people helped you. Other, you know, doctors, normally everybody would just be like, I don't have anything to do with it, you know, because he fought me in the public. He fought me everywhere.
Wow.
If I say something wrong, if he felt like I was talking back to him, or if I didn't answer the phone, he came on top of my job, since I had the job since I was in high school, and he posed as the delivery guy to come to the job and punch my lights out. I filed a lot of, stay away orders. It's public records. We have over 25 or 30 public stay away orders, and I moved to so many states and cities within the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I've lived everywhere. So
just trying to get away.
Yeah, because the police, and they violate the restraining orders, and then you're by yourself. And then my family kind of turned their back on me because they felt that I'm going back to him, so they don't want to have anything to do with it. And mind you, I was still a kid when I met him, so he had a lot of, put a lot of stuff in my head that nobody don't care about me. That's why I'm doing this and I'm getting away with it, So when I went to my OBGYN, back to the pregnancy, I was 20 at the time, and I went to my gynecology visit. I had a bruise on my stomach, and I lied about the bruise, but he had punched me in my stomach like 2 days before. Thank God the baby was not, bothered. And then my final straw was like, I used to go in the bathroom and pray a lot. I grew up in the church as well. And I used to pray all the time, and I was like, I wish I would have listened to my parents. I should have left him alone and all that stuff. And I thought crying would make him feel sympathy or compassion, but he didn't have that.
No. They view that as a sign of weakness when you cry.
Yeah, so what happened was, my final straw was, he was in the street, he was a drug dealer. And somebody was out to kill him. And I used to let him, of course, he used to take my money, my car, my income taxes. I mean, he controlled my thinking, my life. And a lot of people didn't know that I was being controlled. That's why they didn't see me, or family members turned against me. I was just all alone. So I got shot 9 months pregnant, a wound in my face and on my arm. And I was 9 months pregnant with the baby. So that was my last straw, that I knew that I have to leave this. Was he
the one who shot you or someone else?
The police at first thought it was him, that he set it up, because a lot of guys were doing that, remember?
Setting girls up.
Their baby moms up because they didn't want to be a father. Never got to the bottom of that, but I did know that someone was after him, and he used to drive my car. So they're thinking that happened, but that's what made me just say, I'm done with him. Even though I still stayed with him for a while. And then my mom had a heart problem, and it was... now I'm older, I realized I probably was killing her slowly. And she always worried, and she would take the baby and be like, the baby, my son stayed with her a lot because my son would tell her, Mom, they was fighting. Like, he would just wake up and fight me. I had to ask him, can I use the bathroom in the middle of the night? Because he said that I was sneaking someone in through the window. He just, every car I had, he corrected. He didn't want me to have a job. I lost a few jobs, government jobs, because of him. They felt sorry for me because I was so young and I was naive. Even when I got shot, the U.S. attorney, and it was a big federal case. So they was trying to say that my cars and the things that I owned was bought with drug money or stuff like that. But it was bought, my stuff. I had to go through a lot of investigation. Almost lost my job because I was in the law enforcement arena. So I went through a lot with this fool. But I can say now I'm finally being strong. My son is doing good. He's in college. He's studying psychology because of this. And
understanding the mindset of it.
Yeah,
I have a rewarding career, and I'm just here now to help any other women, men, young people out to motivate them to be a speaker. And I plan on trying to write a book because I tell the story just so candid all the time. And I know people get tired of me talking about my story because some people who have never gone through it don't understand it. But it's like something that's in my mind. I have nightmares sometimes. I think about it a lot when I'm by myself because I was used to being isolated. So now I become a loner a little bit, and I'm always by myself. So.
And that's true with that because, you know, like I was just having this conversation with someone is that people don't realize that when you have been through the trauma of domestic violence that you suffer from PTSD. Absolutely. A lot of times people just think that it's veterans and have to do with the military.
Exactly.
But it's any traumatic experience that you have experienced. And so when you are in those alone times and you start, your mind starts thinking back to those times, you will go back to that place. You will become a recluse.
Yeah.
You can be such an outgoing person, and all of a sudden now you're an introvert.
Yeah, and that's me. I'm really outgoing, and people probably be surprised that I went through it. I was very embarrassed because I was an honor roll student, you know, a really smart girl. And I just was so embarrassed, and I was shunned. You know, I didn't know what to do. I thought I was the dumbest person on the earth. You know, he pulled so many guns on me. I have stab marks in my hands. And I'm glad that I fought back. I finally started hitting back, fighting back, you know, going through with the restraining orders and things like that, and moving so far away that he was scared of Fairfax, so he never came out there. And I guess he just finally said, forget it. But the PTSD thing, it's hard for me to date. I'm single at the time.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Like if a guy raised their voice at me, they could just be making their point across, or someone standing in my face. I start, you know, getting sweared up. I'm like, oh my God.
But that's true. That happened to me with my ex-fiance. I remember one time he came home, and he was a very good guy. I mean, very mild-mannered and everything. But one day, because of all my PTSD and everything, something just told me to get his phone. And so I went and grabbed his phone, and when he came at me to get his phone, oh my God, I had got, it's like I was living back in my marriage when my husband was coming towards me. And I tell you, I just dropped the phone. He went down to grab the phone, and I just punched him in the face. And all I can remember is that his eyes were so big. He was looking at me like, is this woman crazy? And I was like, oh my God. It's amazing how you still will be affected by those things. And it's serious. That's why that when we do, as survivors of domestic violence, that when we do start dating, we have to have people that will be patient with us, because they have to help love us back from all that we have been through. And that's not easy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not an easy thing.
Yeah, I've been single for a long time. My son was like, Mom. But I mean, I get out, I travel, I have fun, I have groups of friends and stuff like that. But the next person would have to love me unconditionally, you know?
Absolutely. But that's what you deserve. That's what you deserve.
So when did you actually, how long has it been years-wise when?
How long did I stay with him?
How long has it been since you made that decision that you really want to start talking about it? I know that you said it's your second time.
I've been talking about it to my personal girl, my best friend. I know she gets tired of me talking about it.
So one person.
So I talked to family members and strangers about it all my life, but not on a platform, publicly, and you know, to the point that it's getting some healing for myself as well. Because if you're talking to a closed ear, it's not doing anything. But if you like a setting like this and you know going out, it's like basically a healing because you're seeing other people transform. Right. You're helping them.
Because a lot of times, and that was the reason why I was asking as far as not so much of your girlfriend and whatever, because of the fact that once you really start to speak it forth, and that's where we talk about the, you know, the book, the Shush No More, and things like that. When we really start to talk about it to others, it's like that different layers of the healing that we don't even realize it. To where you know it, it's like, this is a part of me, but it's my testimony.
I'm trying to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're getting there.
I'm so happy I met
Absolutely.
my boo right here. I met her at an event the first time I ever spoke, and I'm not a nervous person. I'm kind of like my almighty, so I'm just like, I'm feeling the healing because I don't think
Absolutely.
I'm healed all the way. I thought I was, but I'm not.
That is big. That is big for her to recognize that she don't feel as though that she's healed yet, because a lot of people still mask it. That we know that thinking that they are healed from domestic violence, but they're really not healed, and you can see it in them.
And it's a journey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a journey. I mean, when I think about how many years that it really started in my life, even as a teenager, I mean, it's over 20-something years, not dealing with just the previous marriage that I was in. No, that's not where it started. That's where it came to the
That's
head.
where it ended.
That's what, right.
Yes.
But when I started to be truthful to myself of when it really started.
Yes.
And it affect your kids.
It does.
My son was affected because I moved so much. So he wasn't in a steady school.
Yeah.
I'm in a new place. I mean, I without breaking leases. I mean, it was like I was on the run.
But look at you now.
Look at you now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you are thriving and you are doing that, and your son is doing well. You know, his major now in school is psychology, so that just goes to show that he's trying to understand it. He's trying to understand all of this domestic violence and how it affects people and children and everything. So that's awesome, because you guys are breaking that stigma in your family. It don't have to be repeated with your son and your grandchildren.
Right.
And that was my thing with me, is that with my children, I didn't want this to continue to the next generation. I don't want my grandchildren having to grow up in households where their parents don't know how to be in a healthy relationship.
Right.
You know, and what that looks like. Because I don't want another generation to say, well, I grew up and I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. I never seen that.
Right.
So that's why it's so important for me to do this work. And I'm just thankful for people like Amina and you and yourself, you know, because it's going to take all of us.
Absolutely.
It's going to take all of us to be on the front line, to be that village that we need, because it's still a lot of people out there right now, that some may even be watching, that is still in that situation and still suffering in silence.
Absolutely.
So we have to be the voice for them. We have to be the voices for them. And we also have to be the ones who have ultimately had to sacrifice their life.
Yes.
Sacrifice their life, you know, what they actually died in domestic violence. So we have to continue to be their voices in this whole thing, so we can save a whole generation.
And speak up from the standpoint of it's not the statistic.
It's not nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about.
And it's not.
Because you're the victim.
You got to kill the stigma of the shame and the guilt.
And and the fact that it's not the norm, where just because you were a product or a victim of domestic violence, for example, you're talking about
I didn't see it in my home, so I didn't even know what it was.
Right. And
when
then
I was dating him and he was aggressive to his mom or his other people, I never saw that at home. I grew up in a loving household. You know, so it was odd to me.
And I even tell people that too. I tell people, because you know, that's why a lot of parents think, because if I raise my child this way, then I'm okay. I don't have to deal with domestic violence. But if you raise your child in your household, they know what a loving relationship is and everything, but then they go out here and they meet someone who don't know none of that, you will lose your child to that abuser. Your child becomes a totally different person. Everything you have taught them, it may go out the window when they have someone that controlling.
Absolutely. And manipulative.
Yeah, preying on them.
Absolutely.
Preying on them.
He used to take my money, my income taxes, all my cars that I bought. He had it every loan. I mean, like, I wasn't my own self. I just became Melanie probably in my 30s, and I'm 42 now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happened. And the thing about it, too, that I admire about your story is, I was great to say that we have so many people in our community that at the end of the day, they think that because this happened, then you're going to be a product of that.
Yes.
But
like
we don't even talk.
Over.
And we don't even a lot of times talk about, like you were saying, your children who are affected. And for example, I salute you, Mom. I salute you with your son, where he's made a decision that, you know what, this is not what I want to do.
That's right.
But what I do want to do is understand how this happened.
Absolutely.
So now
That's
I'm going to
huge.
be, you know, I'm going to study psychology. You know, now I'm going to do, and there's so many people that unfortunately we have that stigma that because you was in this, then you're going to be, for example, your son.
I hid it from him. I thought I was hiding it from him by moving and not letting him see his dad and stuff like that. But when I waited till we got to a certain age, like first year college, because you know, family get spread rumors and tell parents your mom was this, your father was this and that. So I wanted it to come from me. I didn't want it to be a rumor mill because nobody lived with me. Nobody came over there to save me, to get me from him. So they don't know what I went through.
Right. Oh my goodness! Wow.
So that is an awesome part of you and your son. And even though you would say that you kept it away from him, that one thing that we know, children,
they're smart.
Very smart. Sponges. They soak
smart.
up everything.
You know,
they soak up everything, and they know because what we got to realize is that we are spiritual beings. So there is an energy. They feel the energy before there's any word ever uttered. You can go into a room and you can already feel the energy. And nobody ain't said nothing. So they know, they feel that, they know when something ain't right. They know what's going on. They know what that feels like. And so we have to understand that and stop trying to keep sweeping it under the rug and deal with the things for what they were. Because I did the same thing.
I always told him to be better than me and your dad. It's a whole wide world out here. You can live in another country, another state. You always going to have my support. I'm here for you for whatever you want to do. So don't ever let anything that we've done or whatever we saw affect you.
Absolutely.
Because I'm here for you.
I do have a question for you when you was talking about when you were pregnant and that you went into the hospital and you had the bruise on your stomach. Did the medical team, did they even say anything to try
They asked me what was going on, and I of course I lied and said nothing was going on. But no, they didn't.
They didn't try to get
aggressively
deeper.
call and try to intervene and stuff like that. But I will say this to you guys. I left a point out. I have lived in a domestic violence shelter before when I first left him, and my mom passed when my son was like 4. But my mom was living then, and she was so sad because I went in the shelter. But I said, Mom, you can't help me. I know I can live with you, but I need to go in this domestic violence shelter because they have all these resources and, the community day programs, the counseling, the this and the that. And they wouldn't accept me because I always had a good government job since I was 18. So they would not accept me in the shelter because I had too much income. And that was
so glad
it was
that
hard
has
for
changed.
It was hard for me to get in a domestic violence shelter. So I went to this one in Rockville that someone told me about, and I had to lie to get in there. I hid my car blocks away. One day the police came because the alarm was going off. And I said, Officer, can I please talk to you on the side? They found out I have a car. They're going to put me out of here, and I'm in the shelter, and I'm hiding from someone.
Wow.
Because he used to find me. He used to trick people and pay people to know where I'm at.
Wow. And that is so amazing to me because just like Mignon said, years ago, the support that we get now for domestic violence, especially when it comes to the safe houses and things, that would not happen now. But imagine, though, how many other women, because of what you experienced, that's why they stayed. That's why they couldn't break the silence because they were so scared because it wasn't a community.
I needed to be in a safe
it wasn't
place.
People to be able to help them.
I had enough money for my own place, but I needed to be in an environment that if he came over there, that they could arrest him as witnesses and things like that. I was scared to be by myself.
So let me ask you this. So when you did make that decision, and because this is another thing that within our community, why people also stay, because they're fearful of the abuser. So when you finally made that decision, thankfully, unfortunately, because you were pregnant,
of the baby.
Right,
if I didn't have a baby,
pregnant,
I still would be with him, I think.
What did he do when he when you
he got
finally
upset and he stalked me, what they call it, stalking. He stalked me he never stopped stalking me. For 10 years straight, he stalked me.
Wow.
He kidnapped my son from school twice. All this stuff is verifiable public records. He tricked the babysitter to get my son. One time he he did it when he was an infant the first time. So I got him back. I lied and told the police that I breastfeed because he's on the birth certificate too.
Right.
And then the second time he went to the elementary school. And the school said they can't do nothing about it. So I had to beat him there, get there first to pick him up. And I finally got there first. And kids when they're little, they I want my daddy, I want to live with my daddy, I want to see my daddy. Ma, it's your fault. So for years I went through that with my son. And then my son finally saw who his father was as he got older. So I had to go through. Me and my son went through a lot of fights because he couldn't understand and he thought it was my fault. that he wasn't seeing his dad and stuff like that. So I didn't have any more kids. I didn't want to go through that. I was scared.
Wow. So again, I salute you.
Yes, you have a powerful testimony.
Absolutely, you do, and it does take a lot for you to be able to be on this platform, for you to be able to really start talking about outside of your family and friends, because a lot of times we don't like to break. That's what I'm saying. We don't like to break the silence because then we go through, like you said, so much emotional and mental things ourselves that it's easier for us to be quiet.
Yeah. And a lot of people call me crazy, and I get so offended when someone calls me.
I got it all the time.
But
crazy.
see, they always say that, but this is what they don't understand. You know, people can always say what they wouldn't do or how they would do something when they're not in it. But once you're in that situation, you don't know how you're going to react. And because we have the clinical piece of what goes on with domestic violence, that if they was in a situation, they would act the same way because it's neurology. It's a chemical imbalance that happens when you're in that situation.
The Stockholm syndrome.
I think yes, absolutely.
And then when you have kids, it's a whole nother.
It just comes with the trauma of it. You know, it just comes with the trauma of it.
And this, in my instance, he was violent. He used to actually hit me. Like, you know how some guys will threaten you but won't hit you. He actually bust me up every time. So I knew he was gonna hit me if he catch me. So what I would do is lie to him and tell him I love him and all this stuff and make love to him and stuff so he can not hit me. And then I will come back home. When he caught me, because he used to sit outside my mother's house, my girlfriend's house. He don't pull me out my girlfriend's car. That she was the getaway car at one time. I mean, I can laugh about it now because I am a happy person, regardless of what happened to me. But it's
and that's
real.
A testimony
These are episodes and movies, and I went through it for 15 years.
Wow. Absolutely. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take another break because I think that is our second guest that's calling in, Dr. Latasha Holden from out of the Atlanta area. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You are watching The Mignon Show.
We here at Vox Wave believe that no one in the DMV should go without a coat this winter. So we partnered with Star Imports dealership for this year's annual coat drive. If you have an old or gently used coat that can still be worn, drop it off with us. Vox Wave Studios at 4711 Off Place, Suitland, Maryland, and give the gift of warmth to somebody in need in the DMV.
Hello and welcome back to the Mignon Show. I am your host, Mignon.
And co-host Amina.
And this is our awesome guest here today, Melanie Ellis. So also we have another guest that is calling in from Atlanta. So Dr. Holden, are you on the line?
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I tell you, I've been watching you all on YouTube, so I have been enjoying the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am so excited to have you on my show. You know, we are Facebook friends, and I have just been following you, and you are just doing such awesome work down there. And I tell you, it feels like I already know you, and I am just so proud of you.
Thank you so much. It do feel like we know each other.
I know. We have never laid eyes on each other in the physical, but we are definitely Facebook friends. So what I'm going to do, we're going to have the co-host Amina just read a little short part of your bio, and then we're going to turn it over to you for you to be able to share anything that you would like, a little part of your story, and all what you got going on down in Atlanta.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome, Dr. Holden. We are so excited to have you here. So, listeners, viewers, here's a little bit about Dr. Holden. She is an inspirationalist. She has transformed her life only by the grace of God. She went from a GED to a doctorate in leadership studies. She's a published author, and from homelessness to a political candidate. So without further ado, it's so much about Dr. Holden, but only Dr. Holden can tell you about Dr. Holden.
That's right.
So now we're going to let you have it, Dr. Holden. Welcome.
Welcome.
I tell you, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Just a little bit that was read. I think I'm coming down off a 10-year run, so to speak, and for God to do what He has done in the last 10 years, only He could have done it. I would not take any credit for that. I mean, the last 10 years to bring me from being homeless in the streets of Atlanta with 6 children to a political candidate in the 2017 election here in Atlanta, from a GED to a doctorate and an author of 12 books. I'm just now coming, because when you're in the thick of things and you're running and you're pushing and you're striving, I think I'm just now coming down off the high. I'm like, God, what just happened?
Right.
So, you know, yeah. So He has definitely, and it just warms my heart that He did not forget about the homeless woman.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
That is amazing.
I tell you, from homelessness, GED to a doctrine, to homelessness to a political candidate. So that just goes to show you, like I was saying earlier, is that, you know, you can never give up. You can never give up, that you have to keep pushing and keep striving.
Absolutely. Dr. Holden, when you talk about homeless, you know, when you was homeless, can you really share with us, because I know a lot of times when people are going through different transitions in their lives and when people talk about their journey, many cases homelessness comes in a lot of time, that people were struggling with their finances and didn't have a place to live. So when you were going through that, really, how was your mental state? And you said that you had your children. Like, talk to us a little bit about that journey.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! You know, we were actually homeless for 2 years. It was probably the hardest. Here I am. I'm 35 years old. I have a GED. I have no work experience. So I'm uneducated. I'm underemployed, and I have 6 kids. I left an abusive relationship. So mentally, I was beat. I didn't have anything. But what I did was, because I had already checked out mentally. My kids didn't know I was contemplating suicide. So I came to my 6 children. And I said, because I thought about it, well, I got to leave my kids something. I just can't, you know, I wanted to leave them something. And I came to my 6 children 10 years ago, and I said, well, I don't have a lot to offer you all materially. And I said, I know we don't have anything. I said, but I want to teach you all how to give back. And they was like, Mom, what are you talking about? We don't have no money. I said, I know it. I said, but if I can teach you all how to serve me now as your Lord, I believe I've given you a strong foundation to build on to become great leaders. And out of me showing, it was around a Hurricane Katrina time, out of me, we got the newspaper clippings. I did about 4 or 5 events in the community. And out of me showing them how to serve when they didn't have anything, they each turned around, and my oldest son came to me his senior year in high school, and he said, Mother, by what you showed me about how to serve. My way of giving back is joining the United States Marine Corps. He just retired after 10.5 years. Now he's a student. He said, Mom, I want to continue to serve. So now he's getting a biology degree to be a pharmacist. And then I have another daughter. A daughter came to me and said, Mother, my way of giving back is going to the medical field. She's an EMT. Now she just enrolled in college last year to get her degree in human services. Another daughter came to me and said, Mother, by what you showed me, my way of giving back is by going to the human service field. And matter of fact, next week I'm planning to go to South Carolina because she's graduating from Army basic training.
Wow, wonderful.
And my 17-year-old daughter, she said, Mom, my way of giving back, she's been like, I guess I've been mentoring her. She's been shadowing me since she was 12. And she's a 2-time published author, youth speaker, spoken word artist. And matter of fact, she's going to basic training when she graduated in May, and she just got accepted to Alabama State. So all of my kids, Omega, he's the youngest, he's youth athlete. Everybody is serving in their own way. And I can tell you this, my sisters, if God called me home today as a leader, I believe I've done my job, because I believe ministry starts at home.
That is so true, because your first ministry is
Amen.
your home.
Absolutely.
That's your first ministry.
Absolutely.
I always tell people, you know, you could be out here in the world and doing everything and saving everybody else, but then you can lose your whole family.
Yep.
You lose your own family. So what good is that?
Absolutely.
That is awesome, Dr. Holden. I mean, your story is just so amazing of just a strong overcomer. And also, we got to let them know that you are a woman of the cloth.
Yeah, you know, along the way, I got ordained as pastor back in 2013. And God is just using me. You know, it's interesting how he does this. When you said something earlier, I don't know which one of the beautiful sisters said it, but when I remember when I enrolled in college, we were living in a boarded-up house as squatters. And the struggle got so hard because we were homeless just for a month. We talking about 2 years, from shelters, cars, abandoned house. It was the hardest time of my life. Now I remember one day I walked into a hospital, and I told the lady at the front desk, I said, "Ma'am, I don't think I can make it. I don't want to live anymore." She said, "Ma'am, are you telling me you want to commit suicide?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm saying." And I remember them keeping me for a week for observation. And they had this padded room in there, and they took the people that I guess who was really harmful to themselves. But I went to the lady at the desk. I said, "Can I go in that room?" She said, "Ma'am, you don't have to go in." I said, "I know it." Now, I wasn't raised in the church, so me and God got to know each other in the trenches. And I would go in that room every day and drop to my knees and cry out to this God, "Help me, please. I don't have anything. I don't have no money. I mean, the only people knew me was the welfare office." And every day when I went in that room and prayed, when I left out at 7 days after they observed me and realized I was no harm, you know, I wasn't a harm to myself or no one else, it just felt like I had a wind beneath my wings to keep going. And before I knew it, I had my associate degree, my bachelor's, my MBA. I got accepted to the PhD program. And I'm just thanking God that he kept my mind. I'm just feeling awe of what he's done in the last 10 years.
You know, listening to you, the thing that I've heard in my spirit, literally, is, you know, the saying of "won't he do it?" and it becomes such a cliche.
Yes.
But when you really start to think about what God has done for you, and listening even to your own story, it's like only God can do it. Won't he really do it to turn things around? Like, that's not a cliche when you have your own story, because you know it's nothing but God.
That's right.
When you said, like, it was the wings.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
Angels
Yes.
carrying you.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
and so I do have a quick question. I see, and I know when I went on your website and everything to get familiarized with you, and please know, Dr. Holden, that I'm going to be like Mignon. I'm sending you a friend request, and we're going to have this relationship too now. Mignon ain't going to keep you all to herself. But I do have a question about, tell us a little bit about this documentary, No Longer Lost. What was that about?
Oh, my goodness. You know, my mentor, the founder of the Apex Museum here in Atlanta, Dan Moore Sr., he came out of retirement just to do a documentary for me. He's a filmmaker, and he just felt that that story needed to be told. I mean, when you 6 kids at 35 years old, your mindset is kind of already, the world has shaped my mind. It had already told me, you nobody, you defeat, you trash, you know, and so we just, I mean, they did it so beautifully. It just told about that mental effect on the kids, that mental effect of being homeless with children. I remember one time, the documentary's on Amazon, but I remember one time we was riding around. We didn't have nowhere to go, and the kids in the back, we tired, where we going to sleep? I'm crying. I'm like, I don't know, and I heard a still small voice. And if anybody's familiar with Atlanta, they'll know what the place I'm talking about, but the still small voice said, go to the Berean Christian bookstore on Cleveland Avenue. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know no one. And I heard the voice again, go to Berean Christian bookstore, your help is there.
My God.
And I always tell this story because if they're not angels, I would love to meet these people. And I remember walking into the bookstore, and I was drawn to this lady who was standing reading a book. And I went and told her about this voice I heard and told her about my situation. We was homeless, we was driving around. And she said, well, hold on, let me go speak with my husband. She came back, she said, ma'am, do you have a car? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, follow us back to the house. When I tell you this, not for one night, God gave us a place we call home. This lady feasted and treated us like we were out-of-town guests. She went to the grocery store. She threw down, I mean, you would have thought it was Thanksgiving, and they made us for one night. And I hope to God that they hear me say this, because I want to meet these people. If not, they were angels. And when we left that next morning, she prayed over me. They was Christians, and she gave me a little pocket money on my way. But for that one night, we had a sense of what home was like.
Yes. Selfishness.
That's right there. That's what people need, to know that people care. You know, that people care, and we're here to support them. Yeah, those were angels, Dr. Holden.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh,
Wow.
my goodness.
Man, you got to have her back again.
I know, we do, Dr. Holden.
It's so much about you.
It's so much about her. And tell them about the latest position that you got now going on.
Well, it's interesting. I think God has positioned me. I did make a vow when we was homeless. I made a vow that, and this is going to lead into the position, but I made a vow that when God brought me, I said, God, if you bring me out of homelessness and hopelessness, I will go back and fight for others. And that's why I got into the political race in 2017. Now, it's interesting about that, but it leads to where he's taking me now. I didn't know anyone. I was the underdog in the race. I didn't have a campaign manager. I had probably took my last $700 to get in this race. It was 8 of us. But, you know, it's interesting that the lady who won the seat, to my $1,500 that I had raised to campaign with, to her $50,000 that she had, and she had the whole bells and whistles, she only beat me by 400 votes. And
Wow.
District 11, and we was running for the district that Keisha Bottoms gave up to run for mayor of Atlanta.
Wow.
So that was the biggest district in Atlanta.
So
So
close.
now, you know, I just kept my vow to God. There's no way I cannot go back and help my sisters and brothers.
Absolutely.
So
Amen.
2 things are going on now. I'm now the state. I am now the legislative aide for state representative Sean Kendrick in Georgia. And I recently launched my new business, 3 Elements Inc. on September the 1st, where I go back and get my sisters and brothers through workshops, training, motivational speaking, and personal development coaching.
Amazing.
I got to go back and get them. That's the reason why I ran for office. I did so well. The people knew I was not politic. I told them the same fight that I had for my family is the same fight that I would have for you all. And I'm just continuing on with that. And that's why I started my business. I can go help people. That's why I wrote the 12 books. The 12 books on different genres. I have my life story. I have a 4-part youth series that deals for 11 to 14-year-olds, deal with sex trafficking, teen dating violence, bullying, love and forgiveness. I wrote 4 children's books to teach on kindness and love and respect for one another. I got a training manual where I teach out of to go back and show how did I transform my life. So everything I do, I'm going back to show love, compassion, and service. And that's how I name my business the 3 Elements. The 3 Elements are who I am at the core of my soul.
Amazing.
Yeah, I want to aspire to be like her.
Amazing.
Powerful.
Well, Dr. Holden, I want to just say, like I said earlier with Melanie, I just want to salute, just want to salute you because you are an amazing woman. And one thing that you said that I appreciate, because I started to think about it with my own mother, is when you started to talk about how you was trying to figure out what could you do to give back to your children. You didn't have the finances, the struggle, the story. And the mere fact that you talked about the inheritance of what you wanted to give them was dealing with social services or servicing and giving back, and how because of that they are able to be very successful and have their own, inheritance. And when I started to think about that, we have to really think about other things other than finances all the time and what we're going to leave. When I really started to think, when I really started to think about, like, with my mother and being a single mom and her own struggle, I'm like, wow, I didn't get taught the wealth per se. But all of a sudden, just like you talked about, Dr. Holden, that small voice, maybe about a year ago, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, but you got a spiritual inheritance. So how much greater with me getting the wisdom from God to be able to even get that financial blessing, if that is, what we need. But other inheritance is just so important.
Yes, it is.
So thank you for that.
With me, I know we're wrapping up, but just something to your point right there. What I realized when we was homeless, I never saw a U-Haul following a funeral procession line.
You got that right.
That let me know none of this. The only thing that's going to matter is what we do for others when we leave here.
Yes.
That's it. And so my legacy to my 6 children and my 4 grandchildren is service to others. And so I'm just blessed to see them running within their own lane, each person.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
So, Dr. Holden, before we go, can you definitely give them all of your contact information and your social media platforms so they can definitely follow up with you?
Yes, thank you. You can follow me on all social media from LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just type in LaTarsha Holden. If you want to find anything else, you can Google. And God, it's funny when you Google yourself and you see what God undid.
Yes, because I Googled you, Dr. Holden, and some stuff sure did come up that blessed my heart. I Googled you today.
Yeah, that's amazing. God, oh my goodness. But my website, if you want to book me to come speak or just check me out, is www.element, ELEMENTSINC, 3elementsinc.com. And you can also email me at LaTarsha Holden, LaTarsha Holden, HOLDEN, LaTarsha Holden @yahoo.com. I'm here for motivate. I'm here to come inspire the people, to give them hope that they keep pushing. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Holden. Bless you. And we're going to have you on the show again. So you definitely be ready. Okay, bless you. Have a good one.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness, that was awesome. This has really been a great show. Yes, I'm telling you, I'm going to do something. We're going to go to Atlanta.
We got to go to Atlanta.
We're going to Atlanta because I got a lot of people down there that really wants to do stuff. So we're going to wrap it up. I want Melanie to you want everybody to follow you on social media.
Okay, I have 2 pages. I'm on Facebook, is MALANIEELLIS, Melanie Ellis. And on Instagram, I'm a personal shopper and a fashionista or whatever. So I give people advice on how to dress, and I also do the personal shopping for you and the stylist. So you can follow me on my Instagram at exclusive, that's with an E, exclusive shopping for you.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Amina, give your information out so they can follow you.
Amina McWhirter, McWhirter, and Love by the Handle. And since I'm the co-host, I'll tell y'all more about that next week.
Sure will. Sure will. And as always, you can find me on Facebook at MBA Speaks. I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank all of my guests, Melanie and Dr. Holden.
Thank you both
and
for having
also,
me.
yes, my awesome celebrity co-host. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to my engineer, Ron Jackson. Thank you to Vox Wave.
Yes.
Thank you guys. God bless. And we will see you back here next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, guys. Have a good evening.